The fluorescent lights hummed softly in the private wing of St. Mary's Hospital, casting their cold blue glow across the polished floors. Dr. Sarah Chen walked these halls every day, her footsteps echoing in the quiet corridor. She had seen many patients come and go, but none quite like the man in room 312. James Mitchell sat by the window, his silhouette framed against the city skyline. At 45, he should have been in the prime of his life. Instead, he was dying. The tech empire he had built from nothing had made him one of the youngest billionaires in the country. But all his wealth couldn't fix what was broken inside his chest. His heart was failing. The diagnosis had come 6 months ago, delivered by a team of the world's best cardiologists. They had presented him with option surgery, medications, lifestyle changes. James had listened politely, then walked away from it all. "Good morning, Mr. Mitchell," Sarah said, entering his room with a gentle knock on the doorframe. She carried his chart, though she knew his condition by heart. Now. James turned from the window, offering her a tired smile. Dr. Chen right, on time, as always. There was something different about him today. His usual defiance seemed softer, worn down by weeks of declining health. Sarah had been assigned to his case when he first arrived, and she had watched him refuse treatment after treatment with a stubborn determination that both frustrated and intrigued her. "How are you feeling today?" she asked, settling into the chair beside his bed. "Like a man who's running out of time," he said simply. "But I suppose that's nothing new." Sarah studied his face. The sharp cheekbones that had graced magazine covers were more pronounced now, carved deeper by weight loss and fatigue. But his eyes, those intense green eyes that had once commanded boardrooms, still held their fire. "We could start you on the medication regimen today," she offered gently. "It's not too late." James shook his head. "I've told you before, doctor, I'm not interested in buying time. I'm interested in living." "But you're not living now," Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You're existing. There's a difference." Something flickered across his face, surprise, perhaps, or recognition. Most doctors had given up trying to convince him weeks ago. They did their rounds, checked his vitals, and left him to his decision. But Sarah kept coming back, kept asking the same questions. "Why does it matter to you?" he asked suddenly. "I'm just another patient. There are plenty of others who actually want your help." Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Outside, rain began to tap against the window, creating patterns of light and shadow on the wall. She had asked herself the same question many times over the past weeks. "Because," she said finally, "I became a doctor to save lives, and I can't save yours if you won't let me try." James laughed, but there was no humor in it. "My ex-wife used to say I was too stubborn for my own good. Looks like she was right." "What happened to her?" Sarah asked. "Cancer," James said quietly, 3 years ago. "I spent every penny I had on treatments, flew her to specialists around the world, funded research programs. Nothing worked." He paused, staring out at the rain. "I watched her fight for 2 years, clinging to hope that never came. I won't do that to myself." Understanding washed over Sarah like a cool wave. She saw it now, the real reason behind his refusal. It wasn't stubbornness or a death wish, it was fear. Fear of the fight, fear of false hope, fear of the slow decline he had witnessed before. "Mr. Mitchell," she said carefully, "your condition is different. Your heart can be helped. We're not talking about false hope, we're talking about real possibility." Possibility, he repeated the word like it tasted bitter. "That's a dangerous thing, Dr. Chen." Over the following days, Sarah found herself spending more time in room 312 than her schedule allowed. She would stop by during her breaks, sometimes just to sit in comfortable silence while James read or looked out at the city he had helped shape with his innovations. Slowly, carefully, she began to share the real details of his condition, not the medical jargon that other doctors had thrown at him, but the human truth of it. His heart was damaged, yes, but it was still fighting. With the right treatment, he could have good years. "You're risking a lot, talking to me like this," James observed one afternoon. "Your colleagues don't seem to appreciate your persistence." Sarah had noticed the whispers too. Some of the staff thought she was getting too involved, spending too much time on a case that was already lost. But she couldn't walk away. Something about James reminded her of why she had chosen medicine in the first place. "Sometimes," she said, "the risk is worth it, and sometimes it isn't," he replied, but his voice was gentler than before. The turning point came on a Tuesday evening. Sarah had stayed late to check on another patient when she heard the alarm from room 312. She ran down the hallway, her heart pounding, to find James collapsed beside his bed. As the medical team worked to stabilize him, Sarah saw something in his eyes she hadn't seen before. Not fear of treatment or hope, but fear of leaving. Fear of the unfinished business, the unlived moments, the connections he had pushed away. When he was stable again, weak but conscious, Sarah sat beside his bed in the dim light of the monitors. "I'm scared," he whispered, the words barely audible. "I know," Sarah said, taking his hand, "but you don't have to be scared alone. If we do this," James said slowly, "if we try the treatment, Will you see it through with me? Sarah felt tears she hadn't expected spring to her eyes. Every step of the way. 3 months later, James stood in the hospital garden, his color returned, his strength rebuilding day by day. The treatment hadn't been easy there, had been setbacks, difficult days, moments when the old fear crept back in. But Sarah had been there through all of it, just as she had promised. My follow-up looks good, he told her as they walked among the roses that were just beginning to bloom. Very good, Sarah agreed. Your heart is responding well to the medication. The latest scans show significant improvement. James stopped walking and turned to face her. Thank you, he said, for not giving up on me when I had given up on myself. Sarah smiled, remembering that first day when she had seen something worth fighting for in the stubborn man who refused to fight. Sometimes, she said, hope is the best medicine we have. As they continued their walk through the garden, the afternoon sun warm on their faces, James realized he was no longer afraid of tomorrow. For the first time in years, he was looking forward to it.